You know that feeling, right? That special kind of magic in the air just before a Broadway show starts. The lights dim, the audience gets quiet, and you're sitting there holding this iconic yellow program. We all know it, we all love it. But tonight, we're going to use this playbill as more than just a cast list. We're going to treat it as our guide to unlocking the entire world of Broadway. So let's get into it. This program, it looks simple, right? But it's the key that opens up the whole Broadway ecosystem. It tells a story about the people who are actually filling these seats, the insane financial battle that happens every single week, and the cultural force of Broadway that reaches way beyond the stage. We're going to structure this whole thing just like a show. First up, our prologue. Then in Act 1, we'll meet the modern audience. Act 2 is going to throw us right into the drama of the box office. For Act 3, we'll take a deep dive inside the playbill itself. And we'll finish up with an epilogue about how Broadway's influence is felt all over. So let's raise the curtain. Okay, Act 1. First things first, let's talk about the most important people in that theater, the audience. Seriously, if you want to understand Broadway, you've got to first understand who is actually buying the tickets and showing up every night. It's a great question, right? Before I show you the numbers, just take a second. Who do you picture when you think of a Broadway theater goer? Keep that image in your head, because the answer, well, it might just surprise you. And boom, here's our first big clue. The audience is nearly 2/3 female. Now, this isn't just some random statistic. This has a huge impact on pretty much everything, from how shows are marketed to the kinds of stories that even get produced. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. So the average age is about 40, but honestly, that number kind of hides the real story. Just look at the breakdown. The under 34 crowd is a massive chunk of the audience, almost as big as the traditional 50-plus demographic. This is proof positive. Broadway is definitely not just your grandparents' theater anymore. And this slide right here, this shows us the real engine of Broadway's economy. Almost 2/3 of the people in those seats are tourists. What that means is Broadway isn't just a New York thing. It's a global travel destination. Its financial health is completely tied to how well tourism is doing in the city. All right, hold on to your hats for this next number. This is the average household income of a Broadway audience member. I mean, wow. That one figure tells us that a night at the theater has really become a major luxury experience. And it directly explains what's on the next slide, which is the average price somebody pays for a single ticket. When you put that high household income right next to this ticket price, you really start to get the economic reality of Broadway. It's an expensive night out, and it's pretty much tailored to an audience that can afford it. So knowing who's in the audience really sets the stage for our second act, the absolutely brutal, week-to-week financial fight for survival that every single show has to face. And trust me, this is where the real drama happens. Every week, the Broadway League releases the box office numbers, and it's like a public report card for every show. Just look at this snapshot. You've got Just in Time playing to over 100% capacity, which means they're selling super expensive premium seats and even standing room tickets. Then you have a solid performer like The Outsiders doing great business. And then you see a show like Beetlejuice struggling to fill even half the theater and losing a ton of money each week. So the big thing is understanding why this happens. For a show like Just in Time, star power is basically like printing money. It drives up demand and lets them charge those crazy high ticket prices. But on the other hand, Beetlejuice is facing low capacity. And get this, the weekly running costs for a big musical can easily be over $800,000. So when your theater is only 57% full, you are just bleeding cash. It's a really tough business. Which brings us right back to our guide for the evening. The lights are going down, the show's about to start, and we're all flipping through the pages of our playbill. You know, this isn't just a modern invention. It's a real piece of theater history. Just think about that legacy for a second. For 140 years, Playbill has been the definitive guide. In an industry where everything is constantly changing, shows open, shows close, this little yellow program has been a constant, a trusted companion for generations of theatergoers. And it's so much more than just a list of actors. You've got the who's who bios where you're desperately trying to remember where you know that one person from. There's the theater quiz that always starts a little debate, the dining guides that are a lifesaver when you don't have a dinner reservation, and those great interviews with the stars you're about to see on stage. It's an entire magazine packed into those few minutes before the curtain goes up. And now for our epilogue. Let's look beyond just those 41 theaters in the district. The Playbill brand has really evolved to become this central force in celebrating and expanding Broadway's culture, far beyond just a single performance. Playbill is there for all the big moments that define the entire community. They're a central partner for the huge Pride celebration in Times Square, and they are, of course, completely linked with Broadway's biggest night, the Tony Awards. They aren't just reporting on the culture, they are actively helping to shape it. And this is just fantastic. Through a program they call Play Builder, they're empowering the next generation of artists. Schools and community theaters all across the country can use their platform to create their own professional-looking playbills for their local productions. And this is what it's all about. This quote from a theater director just says everything. It's not just about a program, it's about legitimacy, it's about pride, and it's about feeling connected to that big Broadway dream. It really democratizes the magic in a way. So we've come full circle. We've seen the wealthy, tourist-driven audience. We've witnessed the brutal weekly economics. We've felt the history and the cultural reach of the program in our hands. And it all leads to this one big question. As costs keep climbing and audiences keep evolving, what does the future of this incredible art form even look like? Well, that's the story that is still being written.